Yes, I'm that guy. I have three ADA MP1s. That is a whole story for another time. But the thing about having three ADA MP1s is you also happen to have two ADA MP1s, which means you can run an ADA MP1 into an ADA MP1. What I'm going to try in this video is to experiment and see if it sounds in any way usable to use an ADA MP1 essentially as a pre-boost, the same way you might use a drive pedal in front of a high gain amp. So we're going to boost this ADA with this other ADA, if that makes sense. Top ADA is my original one. It is a stock Australian unit. My dad actually bought it back in the late 80s and gigged with it for quite a while, and it has stayed in the family. So this is probably one of the very first ADA MP1s that was ever in Australia. Underneath it, I actually have two MP1s that I bought recently here in Perth. They both have American power. One has the version 1 EPROM and the bottom one has the version 2 EPROM. They all basically sound exactly the same. So I have this middle one just set up for what I would consider the kind of classic hairy ADA tone. Plenty of bottom end in there, and I've pulled out quite a bit of mid-range. What we're going to do is use this top ADA as a pre-boost. I've actually connected the main output of this one to the rear input on this ADA so that I can quickly patch them like so. And we're going to start with the solid state clean mode. You can already hear that this is a whole lot noisier. At the moment I have drive 1 at 3, drive 2 at 10, and the master gain at 10, and the EQ is flat. This is what it does. So it's kind of compressing everything. It's making it a little bit tighter. Let's just crank up this overdrive 1, which on the solid state clean is actually a compressor. We'll just take that up to 6. That is interesting. It's noisier again. What I want to do though is try to mimic, I guess, like a solid state drive pedal and really push the mid-range. So let's crank the mids and have a listen to what that does. I'm going to patch back to the original stock MP1 in the middle here. That was pretty interesting. It changed the feel a lot, and as you could hopefully hear, it did add a whole bunch of noise, but it changed the tone in, I don't think, an unpleasant way. It wasn't that bad. Let's just A-B between. So that's interesting. The tone stack in this is definitely not flat. I haven't pulled any bass out on the ADA, yet it sounds like it's already kind of pulling out a whole bunch of low end there. So it's kind of doing the thing that you would do with a tube screamer or a pre-EQ, where you pull out excess bass from the raw guitar signal and you really push the mid-range and the treble in there. You heard that I also cranked the treble and the presence as well. That's pretty cool. I like it. It changes the feel. It kind of makes it sound, I guess, a little bit tighter and more controlled, and dare I say, a little more modern. On this, let's change the voicing over to the tube distortion. and we'll kind of do a similar thing. I'm just going to put this in, I'll leave the settings where they were, and then I will crank up the master gain on the boosting ADA. That's pretty interesting. The sound at the start where I had Overdrive 2 absolutely cranked is pretty much what I expected this to sound like across the board. But bringing out the extreme presence boost, adding a bit of bass in, and backing off that main overdrive control, it didn't sound too bad. It just kind of sounded like a modern high gain amp, I guess because we're essentially adding an extra tube gain stage as well as doing that really mid-focused pre-EQ on there. Interesting. I didn't expect this to work as well as it did. I wouldn't say that this is something I would be in a hurry to like set up and gig with. If you want to see me do an in-depth ADA MP1 into tri-axis video, please let me know in the comments. I know people are going to ask for this and I know I'm going to have to do it. I just don't want to do it right now. But what did we all learn from this video? Well, sometimes unconventional rigs can work if you know what you're chasing. We definitely heard some pretty cool tones by running two ADA MP1s in series before. I kind of liked that solid state clean into the tube distortion. That had the best feel and definitely the least noise overall. If you're somebody who wants to recreate this, I would say just get something like a preamp pedal like the Rev G3, or any other distortion pedal that has a 3-band EQ like a Marshall Governor or something like that, and you could run that into either your ADA MP1 or into your high gain head that's already got a bunch of distortion on it. That's always the way I used to run drive pedals anyway when I gigged with heads. I would set up my head for my crunch sound and I would use like a graphic EQ or a Boss Super Overdrive in front of it to really kick it over the edge. And then if I turned that off and I rolled my volume control down, then I kind of had my edge of breakup clean sound. That's just how I always thought you were meant to use drive. So we're kind of applying that concept to the ADA here. Anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments, and a big thank you